It shouldn't.
This is a committee of the House. But the way it is formed is such that the opposition gives a certain number of members, and then the government side, the majority side, or the minority side gives a certain number of members, and the majority side gives a certain number of members. And the unfortunate bit is sometimes, I don't know how this committee has done their bit, but sometimes we have such committees, instead of these members representing the people, they again go there to represent their coalitions. They go there to represent the selfish interests of their various political affiliations. I hope this is not what the committee will do, because from the vote that we had in Parliament, 79% of members voted to have Linturi impeached. That is the mood of the members of Parliament.
Okay.
And that is a representation of what actually Kenyans need or Kenyans want. And it was one of the fastest votes. It took us about 10-15 minutes to actually be done with it.
It was clear that this is what members of Parliament wanted, and also
Yes.
how they were going to represent their people.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
How do we guarantee, or rather, I mean, just the fear that you're expressing now seems to be something that happens willy-nilly in Parliament, as City would say. That how do we know that folks are not representing the interests that they have politically and are actually representing people? It just so happens that every now and then it just happens to align, that the position of your party sometimes happens to be what the will of the people is, so we're going to go with it. But it seems like a circus to me, and there's all kinds of horse trading that's going on. And that if it is the will of my party leader and my party, then that's the way I'm going to vote. Is the will of the people constitutionally actually being upheld in Parliament according to the Constitution every time? Not even, I mean, even values, Mheshimiwa, is it being upheld? Because here we see another opportunity for the contest to take place between two warring sides.
That's unfortunate. Truth is, the interests of the people are not genuinely represented in Parliament, because we get to Parliament and instead of representing the people, we start representing our various political affiliations. I'm hoping, I cannot guarantee that this particular committee will do what the people desire.
Oh my goodness.
That is what we hope. We hope they will actually do that. Because from the way we voted in Parliament, it is indeed a demonstration of what people think out here. What I fear is, last year when we were passing the finance bill that has really made life very difficult in this country, what happened is members of Parliament, including those from the majority side or government or UDA or Kenya Kwanza, went even to their constituents, went across the country asking their constituents, what do you think, how do you think I should vote for this finance bill? And after taking them through a few of those clauses, a majority of them were told, go and vote no, do not vote for this particular bill. But guess what? When they got to Parliament, before they got to Parliament, there's something called a parliamentary group meeting. They were summoned to was it State House, and quickly gifted, and they came totally changed, and they passed this particular bill that has oppressed Kenyans. And even now, there is another finance bill coming, and even on the issue of the housing levy, they know it is unconstitutional, even as we have passed it. Still, remember, housing is a county function. It is not a national government function. There are no details on how you will own a house in that particular scheme. There are no details on how the land ownership, this is government or public land. Why are you gifting a private company to build on public land? And why are we not explaining why are we not making laws of transfer of land from county governments to national governments, and a law of moving the function of housing from county government to national government. And again, as in, there are a lot of other questions that haven't been answered. But what did they do when we were called to parliament to quickly pass this particular law? They quickly voted for it.
Okay, so sorry. This is also similar to what would be happening with the Social Health Insurance Fund, otherwise known as SHIF. You're a member of the Health Committee, so that obviously is front and center for some of these issues. And the questions that you ask with the full integrity and the full character of structure, were these questions asked? Because these things, you know better than I do, that these things don't just find their way into Parliament and become bill. They're debated. There's plenary. You sit, you have discussions about these things. People put forth their arguments, their rebuttals here and there. Did these questions actually come about? And that's talking about the housing levy. Did these questions come about when we were talking about the Social Health Insurance Fund? Do these questions come up? But even though they come up, my question is, what happens when these questions are raised? Who answers or doesn't answer? Or who then insists that these issues be dealt with before it is enacted?
By the way, you've asked very, very important questions. Do we actually debate? One of the biggest challenges we have in this country is we hardly, genuinely debate exhaustively on so many bills. And the second thing is the way of communication, especially from the majority leader, quickly arouses opposition instead of debate. The leader of majority is so, what can I call it? You know, there is arrogance and then there is the next level.
Okay.
Yeah?
Beyond that.
Yeah,
okay.
Beyond that.
This is what you feel.
That is what he demonstrates.
Okay.
And because he knows he has already bribed the members of Parliament from the majority side.
Come on,
yes, that is the truth. We know, they confess.
Yes, but you know something?
Yeah.
Are you trying to say that in the absence of what you refer to as a bribe, that these members of Parliament would vote differently?
Had we been doing secret balloting so that they don't know whom you voted for, these bills would not be passing. That is the case.
That is
now,
your view.
It is not my view. It is, you know, we sit, there's a place in Parliament, there's a lounge where we take tea.
Yeah.
When we are there, these people they demonstrate to you how they have been colonized.
Wouldn't it be foolhardy for somebody to come and tell you, actually, you know what, Anthony?
Yes.
I was bribed and I collected this amount of money. Assuming that Anthony is now deaf, dumb, and blind, and will never speak of these things in the future. So it's either that they think that Anthony will never raise them again, or is it now we're seeing a situation where maybe that arrogance that you speak about is, well, I'm going to tell you that I was bribed and I know that nothing will happen whatsoever. Because I'm trying to imagine a situation whereby somebody was bribed, right? Because that's what, look, you're receiving money to do a certain thing that you shouldn't be doing.
Yes.
That's bribery. Why would they come and tell you point blank, you know what? Yeah, we received the money. Basically telling you, we know there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it.
That is what they tell us, by the way. That is what they tell us. That is what happens. And let me tell you.
So
for example,
then Parliament is a criminal enterprise.
Those are your words.
I'm asking.
But now,
it's a question.
But a lot of irregular things happen. Yet they know what they need to do is different from what they actually do. Look here. TSC is the sole agency that is mandated with recruitment of teachers. However, we have members of Parliament from Kisii region who are selling TSC employment forms, members of Parliament and our CS who go to funerals and functions and dish out employment forms. So you ask yourself, where are we as a country? Someone says, bring me someone here, I give him an employment letter for KWS. And it actually happens. A CS at a funeral in Nyamira says, give me one or two people from here, trying to show his sense of importance.
People who are given, do they actually eventually get employed?
Yes, they get employed, which means TSC has a leakage the CEO and the top management of TSC are involved in criminal enterprise. How did this CS get the letters, or these MPs? Yeah. So, like we are saying, we have a problem in this country. And the problem in this country has to be solved with what I call a revolution of values. A revolution of values that must go beyond my tribe, that must go beyond my political party, that must go beyond the leader of this coalition is from my tribe, that must go beyond even generations. And that is possible because we have seen it. I was telling, I was at your sister radio here, Vibes, and I was telling them, the other day, I usually speak a lot about matters to do with drugs and substance abuse, and how we can try and encourage young people not to get into drugs or get them out of drugs. There's a country called El Salvador. It's in South America. This country has been riddled with a lot of corruption, drug cartels. That is where they used to reside. Fraud, money laundering. That was the hotbed. But they recently elected some gentleman, I've just forgotten his name, who decided that country must change. He keeps talking about his legacy. Do you know that country is about to be free of drugs in 4 years?
Because somebody decided.
Somebody decided. This has to start with the top, not Anthony Kibagendi in Kitutu Chache South or yourself here at Spice FM. It has to start from the top. It is about, let me tell you, in life, if you go to a funeral, you find people are in a somber mood. People are mourning. There is no way you can laugh.
No.
You get infected with the mood they're in. You also start mourning.
Yeah.
You get in that particular mood. The school that I went to, a very one of the most distinguished schools in this country.
Of course.
Maseno School.
Yes.
The Maseno School. What happens there, when Form 1s come in, they come in for a week earlier.
Yes.
They have to report to school. And then there's something called orientation.
Yes.
The orientation they get is, they are not told to do this, do that, do the other. No. They just watch and see what the
How
Form
things
2s,
happen.
Form 3 and Form 4s are doing. By the second week, they need to get in. They need to just plug in and do everything that the rest of the students are doing. Now, in Kenya, we have made corruption, incompetence, and lack of motivation to work. It has become part of our culture. To the extent now, when we have issues in this country, the president cannot stand up and say, hey, Linturi, you have messed up. No. You are my friend. Yes, I gifted you this opportunity. You have messed up. Please step aside.
Cannot why?
Why can't he do that?
Yeah.
It is because he's been cultured to absorb this and work with corruption. Corruption is the order of the day, even in his office, in everything that he does. OP is the highest when it comes to matters corruption. It is office of the president that leads from the front. So what we are saying, the culture of incompetence, the culture of corruption, the culture of lack of motivation comes from the top. If the top can change, like what has happened in El Salvador, where the president said, you need to investigate all of us, the cabinet. We are here, investigate. He called in the AG for that country. What we had when we came in, what we have now, and look at if we have borrowed from banks, then it is understandable. You borrowed, you took a mortgage and bought a house, you took this and bought a car, Other than that, beyond that, investigate even their relations, investigate even their relatives, so that we get to know if they're involved in corruption. That is what we need. Not identifying Kibagendi because Kibagendi is speaking his mind. Kibagendi is informing Kenyans about the systematic oppression of the masses by government. So you send DCI to him, you send anti-corruption to him, purely because I am speaking the truth. You see, that is the problem we have in this country. Instead of trying to gather all government resources that can help us stop corruption in this country, they are disjointed so that nothing happens.
And one has to ask then, because unfortunately or unfortunately, the body that is tasked with this very same thing that you're talking about is yours.
Parliament.
Right? Parliament.
Making laws.
And even for legislation,
Yes.
and also for oversight.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Auditor General says there are discrepancies here, goes back to Parliament. She can only make the observation
And
goes back to Parliament to say that something should be done about it. Budgets then realize for certain things to be done, again, goes through Parliament. Parliament is the one who allows us to spend or not spend. Parliament is the one for whom a criminal enterprise comes about, and we say, Parliament now tell us whether we are going to investigate or not. Do you see? All of this then comes back and lands at the seat of Parliament. And I can understand what you're talking about, bringing in a leader, choosing a leader then who is going to be the El Salvador, right?
Yes.
But in the one that you have today, is it possible for there to be a rising up from the House that is tasked to do those three things, to say, you know what, not on our watch?
How I wish that can happen.
Not on our watch. It doesn't matter who affiliation I have. Is it possible that before you get somebody that you're going to bring in as a future leader, that the people who are tasked with the responsibility of making sure that everything is done with the character of integrity at whatever level is done, not on our watch? Can Kenya today have a parliament that says, not on our watch?
Kenya today can have parliamentarians, but not the whole house. That is why Kibagendi is different, Jack Wamboka is different, Babu Owino will be different. You get? Or Catherine Omanya would be different. We have a problem. It is not about individuals, certain like myself, because what I do or say in Parliament is what my people. I do a lot of consultation before I can actually get involved. But the problem we have is, even after doing that public participation, and they realize this is what Kenyans want, the majority side, the Kenya Kwanza side, what they think is about how do we make a kill out of this. These people want to stop us from eating through the housing levy. These people want to stop us from eating through the social health insurance fund. These people, because like now, the social health insurance, you brought me here some time back to talk
we did,
about it.
As it was coming through, yes.
You know, the social health insurance fund, the laws, the three laws that have come up are fantastic. They are transformative.
Indeed.
They are supposed to improve the healthcare of this particular nation. However, we did not need such, we did not need to change the law. We just needed departments at NHIF to deal with the emergency, to deal with the digital, to deal with the fund for facilities,
yes.
Facilities fund. That is all we needed, yeah, departments. But because the top and the schemers thought the best way first is to come up with a new authority and then brand all these people working at NHIF as corrupt, as incompetent, as people who lack integrity. We declare all of them redundant so that we have an opportunity to employ our people. That was the first thought. The second thought is...
that was your understanding of what happened.
Yeah. Yes. Now, the second thing is they have come up with, you know, in as a medical insurance, the core mandate of a medical insurance is approvals of Kibagendi has come to hospital. Can we treat him? The insurance approves. Yes, he's up to date. You can go ahead and treat him. The second part of an insurance, again, is Kibagendi was treated in such and such a hospital. They did a knee cap replacement at such a hospital. They need their payment. Yeah? Again, that is processed. That is approvals and claims management. Do you know that core mandate has been moved from that authority to private insurance brokerage firms, which are owned by friends or actually these people who are pushing this particular agenda? And we